I greet you all and welcome you to the Manifested e-learning platform. The subject is governance and compliance audit. Today, we are going to discuss the qualities of good governance and compliance audit. Qualities of good governance and compliance audit. So by the end of the lesson, you should be able to discuss the qualities of good governance and compliance audit. And good governance and compliance audits are foundational to the credibility, effectiveness, and also sustainability of any organization, especially in a dynamic regulatory environment. So the quality of these audits is paramount, and it hinges on several key attributes or qualities, both of the auditors themselves and the audit process. So in this lesson, in discussing the qualities of good governance and compliance audit, we will categorize the qualities into two. Number one, the qualities related to the auditor and the audit team. Then number two, the qualities related to the audit process and output. So let's get into the discussion. Qualities of good governance and compliance audit. I've said that we are going to categorize these qualities into two. First of all, qualities related to the auditor. And the team, the audit team. Qualities related to the auditor, that is the governance and compliance auditor, and the team. Now, the first quality is independence. Candidates should always remember that. Independence. And independence is crucial for objectivity. It is crucial for objectivity. For an auditor to be objective, an auditor, first of all, must be independent. He must be able to make decisions without undue influence. The auditor and the audit team, whether internal or external, must be independent of the activities and the activities that they are auditing and the management they are auditing. Because a governance auditor will audit the corporate governance framework. A compliance auditor will audit an organization's adherence to laws, regulations, and rules. So the auditor should not be part of the one who is expected to adhere to the rules that is assessing whether they are being adhered to or not. And that means being free from financial, personal, and organizational biases that could compromise their impartiality, because auditors are required to be impartial. And for example, in Kenya, we have financial audits where the Institute of Certified Public Accountants has a code of ethics that emphasizes independence. And for internal audit, the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board and the Institute of Internal Auditors Standards, often adopted in Kenya, stress the importance of an independent internal audit function reporting to the highest level of governance, e.g. the audit committee or the board. So the first quality related to the auditor and the team is that of independence. Number two, integrity. Integrity and ethical conduct. Integrity means being honest. It means being straightforward. It means being truthful. Auditors must demonstrate the highest level of honesty, fairness, and professionalism in their dealings. And this builds trust with the auditee. The auditee is the company that is being audited. When an auditor is highly honest, when the auditor is professional, that builds trust with the company that is auditing and ensures that the reliability of their findings. And that's what? And ensures the reliability of their findings. So integrity breeds trustworthiness. That's what I mean. Trustworthiness, and also that confidentiality means handling sensitive information with utmost discretion, and that is paramount in the process of auditing or assessing the organization that comes across very sensitive information of the client, and therefore the audit is required to maintain high level of confidentiality. The audit is not required to disclose the information to any third party without consent of the auditee. Integrity and ethical conduct. The third quality related to the auditor is that of competence. And candidates' competence goes hand in hand with professional expertise. The auditor is required to have knowledge, skills, experience, expertise. That is, the auditor and the audit team should possess the required, the relevant knowledge, skills. Auditors must possess deep understanding of governance principles, deep understanding of relevant laws, regulations, like Companies Act, the Data Protection Act, codes like Mongozo Code, industry standards, audit methodologies, and so on. Knowledge and skills. An auditor is required to have knowledge and skills, knowledge of laws, knowledge of methodologies, knowledge of international standards on auditing, and so on. So under competence, we have knowledge and skills. Then we have what we call continuous learning. Because candidates, the regulatory landscape and nationally and even globally is constantly evolving. And therefore, an auditor should be committed to continuous learning, continuous professional development in order to stay updated. That will guarantee an auditor's competence and expertise. An auditor should not argue that I graduated 30 years ago and I no longer, I've seen some people boasting how they graduated a long time ago and they no longer read books or they no longer need knowledge. No, the knowledge is always changing. Knowledge of laws, we have rules, regulations. The regulatory landscape is always evolving. We have new things coming up, how things are done, regulations are changing. So an auditor should be committed to continuous learning, competence, and professional expertise. And we are talking about knowledge and skills. We are talking about continuous learning. We are also talking about industry-specific knowledge. Each industry has its own knowledge And auditors should seek to understand industry-specific knowledge. That is expertise relevant to the audited organization's industry, which is valuable for understanding specific risks and also compliance requirements. That is the third quality related to the auditor and the audit team. The fourth quality is that of objectivity. And objectivity goes hand in hand with what we call professional skepticism. Objectivity and professional skepticism. Objectivity refers to having objectivity means not being biased. Auditors must maintain an unbiased mental attitude. Auditors should resist pressure to distort findings or conclusions. An auditor should be objective, should not change facts, should not be influenced to change findings. An auditor is required to have an unbiased approach. That's the meaning of objectivity. Skepticism means having a questioning mind. That is to mean that the auditor should not take everything that is told to be true, or what he reads in the books to be true, or when questioning the management, or when inquiring, when gathering evidence. The auditor should not take everything as true, but should always have a questioning mind. Professional skepticism means approaching the audit with a questioning mind, critically evaluating every bit of audit evidence, and being alert to conditions that may indicate misstatement or non-compliance due to error or fraud. That is to mean that auditors should not blindly accept management's assertions, because an auditor relies on information that is given by management. It could be financial information, information on processes, information on compliance. So when gathering audit evidence, the auditor is required to evaluate each and every piece of evidence. You should always have a questioning mind, that attitude of questioning everything. That's the meaning of professional skepticism. You understand, candidates? We are discussing qualities of good governance and compliance audits, and we are categorizing these qualities into two. One is qualities related to the auditor and the audit team. Then after that, we will be discussing the qualities related to the audit process itself. So let's move to the fifth quality. The fifth quality is that one of communication. The auditor and the audit team should possess strong communication skills. That means clarity, and conciseness. Auditors must be able to communicate complex findings, risks, and recommendations clearly, concisely, and effectively, both orally and in writing, to diverse audiences, like the board, the management, the employees, and other stakeholders. Strong communication skills, both oral and written. Another aspect of communication skills is listening. Active listening. That is the ability to listen actively and ask insightful questions, which is crucial for gathering relevant information and understanding the client's concerns. strong communication skills. Attribute number 6 is analytical and critical thinking. Analytical skills. Analytical skills, critical skills. Analytical thinking skills. Critical thinking skills involve problem solving. These are problem solving skills. That is a quality that is very paramount to an auditor. That is the ability. Problem solving skills is the ability to analyze complex data, to identify root causes of problems, and also formulate practical and value-adding recommendations. Critical thinking also involves what we call data interpretation. Data interpretation. That means competence in interpreting quantitative and qualitative data to draw sound conclusions. So these are 6 qualities related to the auditor and the audit team. Let's move on to the second category of qualities, which are qualities related to the audit process. The audit process and output. Related to audit process and output. Qualities related to audit process and output. Now, candidates, a good audit follows a structured methodology, including clear objectives, the scope, risk assessment, detailed audit procedures, and also timeline. In other words, a good audit should be systematic and should have a disciplined approach. And that is possible through, it has to be well planned. For you to have a systematic approach, then that approach must be, first of all, well planned. And candidates, we are discussing the process, the audit process. It all begins with planning. A good audit follows a structured methodology, a good plan that must have clear objectives. An audit must have clear objectives. It must have scope. What is the scope of the audit? It must have a risk assessment and also detailed audit procedures. There has to be that plan before embarking on the audit. So that's the first feature. Systematic and disciplined approach. Then when the plan is in place, then you must have a methodical execution. Execution. It has to be executed methodically. That includes evidence collection, analysis, and also documentation, which should be performed systematically and consistently. So that's the first feature, the first attribute, systematic and a disciplined approach. The second quality or feature related to the audit process is risk-based. A good audit is one that is based on risk-based. And it has, first of all, to focus areas that are materiality. It focuses on materiality. The audit should be designed to focus on areas of highest risk, both governance and compliance risks that could materially impact the organization, because that then ensures efficient use of audit resources. Then it should also be proactive. Proactive means identifying potential future risks, not just historical issues. Now, apart from risk-based, it should also be evidence-based. One that is evidence-based. Evidence-based. That means having, first of all, audit evidence. Sufficient refers to the quantity of the evidence. Appropriate refers to the quality of the evidence. Conclusions and recommendations must be supported by adequate, relevant, reliable, and verifiable audit evidence. Then related to evidence, there is documentation. Documentation. There ought to be comprehensive and organized working papers that clearly demonstrate the work performed, the evidence obtained, and conclusions reached. So that is documentation. There ought to be proper documentation of the audit work. Then another feature related to the audit process and output is what we call timelines. That is number 4. Timelines. Timelines. Number 4, timelines. Timelines. There ought to be relevant information. Okay? Audit reports and also findings should be provided on time. You understand, candidates? They should be made available at the right time. That's what we mean by timelines. Audit reports and findings should be delivered in a timely manner to enable management and the board to take prompt corrective action, because delays can diminish the value of the audit. Timelines. That's another feature related to time. Timeliness. When you are auditing, you don't delay submitting the audit report. It must be submitted in time so that the management can take proactive, action or implement the recommendations within the report. That's another feature of a good governance and compliance audit, the audit report, because the final output in an audit is having an audit report which contains the opinion of the auditor. And here we are saying for that opinion to be useful, then it has to be presented or submitted at the right time. No delays. There should be no delays, because delays can diminish the value of the audit. You understand? Yes. Timeliness. 5 is constructive. What do I call it? Constructive and actionable. Yes, the word is action and action. An audit is one, a good audit is one that has constructive recommendations or actionable recommendations. Because an audit should not be one that, a good audit is not just one that identifies gaps and weaknesses in the internal control system or the governance structure. No, it should also contain recommendations on how to improve governance structures or adherence to policies, adherence to laws and regulations. That is to mean that a good governance and compliance audit should be one that adds value, value adding. It should add value. Just beyond identifying issues, good audits provide practical and implementable recommendations that add value by strengthening governance, by improving compliance, and also enhancing operational effectiveness. There is also the aspect of root causes. Recommendations should address the underlying causes of the problems, not just their symptoms. So that is the fifth quality related to audit process and output. Another quality or attribute or feature is follow-up. Following up, follow-up procedures, follow-up and monitoring. Okay? Monitoring. At the end of the audit process, the auditor submits a report within which he identifies gaps and makes constructive and actionable recommendations. But a good governance and compliance audit is one that also includes a mechanism for monitoring the implementation of the recommendations and assessing their effectiveness, because that then ensures that identified weaknesses are actually addressed. So there is that aspect of verification of implementation. The idea behind follow-up and monitoring mechanism is to verify implementation. Next, related to the audit process and output is clarity. A good governance and compliance audit candidates should contain reports that are clear, concise, and also tailored to the needs of different users. That is to mean it should have what we call targeted audience. Targeted audience. We are discussing clarity and understandability of the audit reports. So there is clarity and understandability. Reports should be clear, concise, and tailored to the needs of different users, like the executive summary for the board, detailed findings for the management, and so on. To enhance also clarity and understandability, there is the aspect of visual presentation. It should be visual. The auditor can use graphs, charts, and clear language to make complex information digestible. So these are qualities related to the audit process and output. The output is the audit report. That's why these last points are explaining how the report should be. It should be clear, concise, and it should be understandable. So that's the end of the lesson, candidates. The lesson has been qualities of good governance and compliance audit. We classified the qualities into two. One is qualities related to the auditor himself and the audit team. And the first quality is independence. Number two, integrity and ethical conduct. Number three, competence and professional expertise. Number four, objectivity and professional skepticism. Number five, strong communication skills. The auditor and the audit staff should possess strong communication skills, both oral and written. Number six, analytical and critical thinking skills. Then the second category of qualities are related to the audit process and output. The first quality is systematic and disciplined approach. It should be well planned. It should be executed methodically. Number 2 should be risk-based. That means it should focus on materiality and also be proactive. Number 3, evidence-based. Number 4, the audit report should be presented or submitted at the right time. There should be no delays. If constructive by